Commentary. It's important to how we understand our game, but there's commentary rarely heard, the one inside players' heads. In this series, we take you inside the Demons' minds, the highs, the lows, the psychological side of the game. This is the Melbourne Mindset, brought to you by IG. Nice to see you, big Maxie boy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And a couple of nice stitches on the eyeball.
They're 4, I think. Does it look like 4?
That's not that impressive.
Oh, damn.
Hey, it's be great to have a chat. We're talking about the challenges that are confronted to all elite sports people overcoming injuries, something that you've been familiar with since the start of your career at Melbourne, and the physical rehab that you have to do, but more significantly, what happens above your shoulders. And you're a great one to talk to because you just endured a bit of a roller coaster over the last month.
Yeah, I managed to get a 12-month injury down to 4 weeks. It's not bad. Challenging little period, especially straight off the injury. I got sort of not diagnosed an ACL, but they pretty much told me that that's our gut is telling us that this is an ACL. So initially when I heard that news, it was pretty early in the game. It was like the 10-minute mark, and I was relatively upset with that news, as you can imagine. I've had 2 knee recos, and this was a third when I was 31. What I like to think in the prime of my career, and at the start of a season is quite brutal because you've done a lot of work to get to that point. Off the back of a really good game in round 1, so I was feeling good about myself, and that all comes spiralling down all at once when I got told. And to be fair, they didn't say you've done your ACL, but I've seen doctors diagnose ACL before, and they tend to do it the nicest way possible, and that's what I felt like was happening. So yeah, that was an interesting 24 hours until I got that scan.
There's lots of stories within what you just said there. I mean, we never assume people watching this know what the ACL is. Of course, it's a knee injury that ultimately is a 12-month rehab, and from a footballer's point of view, you've had 2 as a young man. Yep. So, straight away, the physical pain becomes a secondary because you know what's involved there. We'll deal with that in a moment. But straight away, I'm interested to go, what happens upstairs? We saw the vision. I was working down the night, and you walked off pretty quickly, and then all the speculation begins. So how does that well, in the short term, going down the roads, in your mindset, walking down there, did you think it for the worst or not?
I walked off pretty good. Again, ACLs are such a weird injury that you can feel 10 different ways and you could all be ACL. So you literally don't know till you get a scan. So I know that. I know I'm not going to know till I get a scan. So how can I hold myself in good stead? I thought I did, to be honest, but I managed to find that one camera that was still on. But a lot of things hits you straight away. And the big thing about the ACL compared to a lot of other long-term injuries is it takes your sort of life away for 3-4 months. Like, one of my big things is staying active. I love riding, I love walking. I've got an 18-month-old son that requires a lot of playtime and walking. And a knee reco sort of gets you off your feet for a good 3-4 months. And that was my first thought. And then when I got sort of told about what the injury could be and there was a potential of ACL, then my career was something that I was thinking about. Definitely in terms of this season, because I'm quite bullish about what the D's can do this year, and it would be absolutely shattering to miss out on the whole season. Then I actually, after all that happened, I know I'm fast forwarding a tiny bit, then I actually regrouped and thought about the game that we're in now. It was something that was really prevalent in my mind, how I can get back up on that ground. When I was ready to go back up on the ground, there was 3 minutes to go till quarter time. It's a fitness test and all sorts. We actually taped it initially to see if we can push through it. And so there was a bit of stuff to do with the physios, doctors. But then about 3 minutes to go, I was like, okay, let's go back up to the race. And I said, let's just wait till quarter time. So I sat down and had a little breather to myself and made it up to quarter time. And then did not think about my knee from quarter time till the final siren. Ended up being the longest game in history because the lights went out, which was handy. I did not want to be on that bench for any longer than I had to, but I felt like I was really engaged when I was up there. But yeah, those initial thoughts in that first 10 minutes.
Are you cognizant of how you conduct yourself and how you hold yourself? So you're the captain of the free club, the most visible, I could say, charismatic person that everyone is drawn to. You got the turmoil in your mind, but you got the reality of this game that's unfolding. So you're cognizant of how you then project the image onto the players.
Unless they saw the vision, which I doubt they did. The knee Rico or the knee injury that I had is pretty easy to cover up. I'm not on a stretcher. I don't have a cast on. I didn't have ice on at the time. I didn't have a bandage on. So I just was subbed out. So that's the sort of mindset that I took, that no one knew what was going on with me, and I tried to keep it that way. So if someone asked me at the quarter time huddle, I said, just my knees playing up. And that kept me mindful, and it also, I hope, kept the boys on task.
Do you think about, again, you spoke about the camera that found you, so you're sitting in a reflective period in that first moment, totally understandable, just thinking, okay, let's hope that, probably getting yourself right to do what you've spoken about, but then you got your wife and your family and everyone. Family, are you aware of that? And you worry about that?
Yeah, so at the Gabba, the players' families sit right on the race. So I'm walking off and I locked eyes with Mum and I just shook my head. So I knew that I left them in a pretty bad state when I did that, because I'm then down in the rooms for 10 minutes and they've taken off is me shaking my head. So I knew I left them in a pretty bad state, which is not great for me. I could have smiled at them and just said, we'll see what happens.
But there's all the things you...
Correct. And my brother was late to the game. He lives in Queensland, goes to 2 games a year, the 2 Queensland games, and he was late and he rocked up actually as I was in the room. So I was thinking about him a little bit and how I can go up and talk to him, and I don't see him very often. So it's amazing. It was only 5 to 10 minutes, but I've had an amazing amount of thoughts by myself in that change room. I did get up. My mum actually came down, so we regrouped together. And yeah, the rest is history.
Righto, so the game's played, result doesn't go our way, which is disappointing itself. As you said, it's an extraordinary game because of the lights. I'm trying to think back when I've had injuries, and you're always looking for something. It might be a movement, it might be just going up a stair, or you're walking up onto the bus. I mean, were you just acutely aware of all that? Was your mind just, so uber focused?
Yeah, I mean, I've had 8 knee operations all up, so I think I know what I'm feeling at different times. The instability was the one that was making me think ACL, so I had that in the back of my mind, but that can also be medial. So I was hoping on that. So I went into the scan with a really good mindset. So it's probably handy that we did have that last checkup. And I went into the scan back in Melbourne after I did another media call. It was honestly like I was dying.
That was.
At the airport.
I was on there at the time. It was a somber moment.
There was 3 reporters at the airport the next day going, how are you going? And is everything going okay? I've had 2 Ricos. It would be painful. I'd have a bad couple of weeks with that Rico, but I'll be the same Max Gawn. I'll be able to get through it. I get that it is a big moment, a captain of a football club going down for potentially a career-ending injury. So I do get that, but I'm quite shy about the fact that there was a lot of noise about a 4-week injury.
Well, at that stage though, to be fair, no one knew. So your mind's winning. So you're telling me you're in a good mindset, you've had a little test, and it's gone from we're not sure to we think you're going to be okay. It is a roller coaster. So then you're going into the scan, and you're sitting there getting scanned. I mean, does it go to the worst, or at that stage you're thinking, no, I'm going to get ready even 4 to 6 here?
My second Rico, I should have said this at the start, my second Rico, no one knew. The scan wasn't clear. So I didn't know I was getting a Rico until I was getting an operation anyway on my meniscus.
So you get...
And the surgeon said, just in case, I need you to sign this form if your ACL is no good. And I woke up and they said, your ACL is no good. So
that adds a fair bit to the mental side.
Yeah.
When you've been given your second one where you think, oh no, we're all good here.
Yep.
And it's the worst. So you've got the same message, I think we're all good here, but surely you're thinking about it.
Yeah, and even when the doctor told me, it's not like, I remember I'm skipping forward with the phone call that came through from the doc. It took half an hour to come through. Normally when there's good news, they come in the first minute.
So tell us about that. I mean, what are you thinking?
I'm like, why is it taking...
They're working out how to break the news.
They're working out how to break the news. We got 2 doctors. We got a senior doctor, Laura, and a junior doctor. I'm not sure if it's junior. He's just another doctor, but he hasn't been around as long, Jacob. And Laura is the bearer of bad news. She's the senior doctor. And Jacob called me. So as soon as I saw Jacob, I almost didn't need to pick up. I'm like, I'm home.
That's interesting. Again, people will be watching this. I mean, we've spoken about the space of 18 hours, really.
Yep.
So this extraordinary, and the mind is the most powerful tool that we've all got access to. So And I speak to all about with people about the way you prepare then. So is that an instantaneous thing? There's the call, hey, good to go. This is short term, not long term. So then does something click over in here?
Then I am, in my experience, long-term injuries, I'm actually quite mindful and in a really good space. Short-term injuries, I can't handle. So then it actually turned into a bit more of a worse state than what I thought I was going to be. And I was prepared to go out for a nice dinner with my family and Bon Voyage 2023 with look forward to what I can do here. And then I get told, okay, I can't go for that dinner. I've actually got to stand on an ice machine. And I've got to swim the next day to keep my fitness. So then I just spiral into this new mindset. I'm like, how do I get my 8 to 6 week injury down to the shortest I possibly can?
So is that your priority? Do you go, okay, they're saying 6, so right then do you say, no, I'm coming back in?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't buy into what majority of Melbourne supporters would like, and that's me to take my time and get my knee right.
Tim Stein's coming.
I want to rush. I want to get back. I have FOMO. I want to be playing football. I want to get out there as quickly as I can. So, to an extent, I still have to tick every box. And I mean, we're skipping forward. That question will probably come in, but I felt like I ticked every box I could.
So, I mean, when you're making considered decisions, though, you go and gather all the information. This is what it used to be like, anyway. Listen to everyone who is in a position to tell you, but ultimately, then you make your own call on that. And so, tell us about. You've been there, you've had knees before, you know what's ahead, the rehab, you know it's a pretty lonely time as well. You're away from the bright lights. How do you deal with all that?
Yeah, you do wait for all the information, that is, definitely. So when the first phone call comes from the doc, you take that, but he goes, I'll look through it further, and I'm like, look through it further? Why did I need to do that there? Like, you've just told me that it's a medial. So then lucky enough, the surgeon it was a Saturday, the surgeon was in the hospital at Ebworth, Julian Fella, and he said, I'm here, you can come in if you can get here in the next hour. So that fast track, my old man's been trying to see Julian Fella for 10 years, can't get in, I get in 1 hour. We're very, very lucky being a footballer. And he saw it and he was really, really happy with the knee, so that crossed off surgery, which was good. And then we saw everyone else I could, physios, doctors, and then bang, come Monday, I was in swimming, I was doing some knee rehab, and it just literally flicks a page straight away. It's amazing how quickly it happens. From Friday, you're preparing to play, to Monday, you're in rehab, you're swimming, you're away from the main group, and you're away for 4 weeks. It's amazing how quickly, and you almost feel forgotten about straight away. Less people are talking to you, less people are worried about your performance. They know you're away for 4 weeks, so they're not worried about what you're doing this week. It's just, yeah, mate, you're swimming. Is anyone coming with you? No, you're in there by yourself. Just pump out a K, and then you got a little bit of weights to do. Then you can go home.
Really good messages in all that for what we're doing is to get the best advice and then go and act on it, and let the people who are professional in the area do their stuff. So you're not a part of the team. You're the captain. So how do you approach that? Physically we know. Tick box, not a problem. Max trains harder than anyone. We know all that. How do you tackle the mental side of this now, again, cognizant of how big an influence you have on the group?
Yeah, I knew straight away that I wanted to be involved, and I wanted to be a part of what was happening. If something happened, we had 2 interstate games in a row, which was quite unique. And if something happened on those interstate trips that I felt like I could have done something, even if I was sitting in the commentator's box and I wasn't there, I probably wouldn't have been able to live with myself sitting at home. So I said straight away, we've got to design my program around me following the team. So I was going to go to Perth, which was at Easter, which was an interesting conversation to have with my wife that I was still going to go over. And I was going to go to Gather Round and be there with the team. And we designed our programs around that. I did 2 really, really big sessions in Perth and in Adelaide that set me up to where I got to. That's the mindset I took. I'm going to do everything I can from a fitness point of view and make sure my knee's all right, but I'm the club captain, and it's a pretty important couple of games. I'm definitely going over and supporting these guys as much as I can.
Are you a good watcher?
No, I'm not coaching post-footy. I've wiped that pretty clear straight away. I don't mind being on the bench, but you can't be on the bench when you're an injured player, so you're up there in the box. I find it difficult. Straight away, I became that guy who it's so easy from the box, and I don't like being that guy.
Well, save that for when you retire. So, what about from the rehab point of view? Was it a linear progression to playing again? Was there a little setback, or was it all pretty?
I'm very lucky. I don't handle setbacks well. the thing that gets you going in rehab is progression. So let's say Monday you've got this program, and if you get through that, this is what you'll do Wednesday. But if you don't get through Monday, you do Monday again on Wednesday to get through it. So you could do Monday 15 times if you don't get through it the way they want. And I've been there and done that, but I was very lucky this time around. Sometimes you make your own luck in rehab, sometimes you don't. I feel like I made a little bit of my own luck with the way I prepared to get into the major 2 weeks of the back end. But I had no setbacks, which was really good. I was able to go from Monday to Wednesday to Friday to Monday to Wednesday to Friday. And that kept me in a really good positive mindset. There was something new every time I trained, something new to tick off. And the goal of getting back for Richmond was always seen as the goal, which is also a nice. Resetting goals is one of the hardest things you have to do in footy. I've just done it. I won a premiership. So we won a premiership. And that was my goal since under nines. I've never been in the grand final. So under nines all the way to now 30 years of age, I had this goal, and now I've got to reset a goal to keep going. It's weird. It's literally the day after you win a flag, we got to reset a goal to do it again. So resetting goals within rehab is quite tough as well. But I was lucky I had that Richmond goal set, and I was able to hit it.
Are you the sort of person, again, as you rehab an injury or even as you train, I know you don't take a shortcut, but if there's something that's not quite right, or you haven't done something quite to the specific, that you got to go back and do it again. Otherwise, you have that nagging thought. Well, maybe that's the one thing that'll stop me.
Yes and no to both parts. When it comes to playing, so in those last couple of days before calling myself fit to play, I had to tick literally every movement I could think of that I would get into a game off in my own head. So I was out there for a long time, main training, just doing movements over and over again to make sure that would stand up in a game. Early on in my rehab, I don't like having setbacks. So if I'm feeling something that's a little bit achy, I'm probably not reporting it. I'm making sure I get to Wednesday and not doing Monday again. So I'm a little bit of an issue early on in my rehab. But maybe that's good as well, pushing through pain to be able to get to the point you need to get to. But late in rehab, I'm the opposite. I need to tick off everything I can.
So then you've done all of it. So you've prepared, you've got, you've ticked all the boxes. The coach in the end says, right, Monday night, Anzac Eve, which is a massive game in and of itself, big occasion. You run out there, you've got to stand there for 12 minutes, which is again a bit different.
Yep.
So do you have any thought in the back of your mind that, okay, I think I'm right, that there is a chance, or is it all being put to bed?
Well, first of all, the way he asked me if I was right to play was quite vigorous. I wasn't really expecting. I thought, could he be like, welcome back, mate? It was like, are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? I'm like, there's a bit of pressure here. I'm like, yeah, I think so. And then I was really, really good mentally throughout the weekend. The long weekend, it was a long wait to Monday night. And then the first ruck contest happened, and my first actual impact of the play, I landed on my knee. So I went for a mark, I got a hit from behind, I got a free kick from it, but I landed on my left knee, and it stung for a couple of seconds. I'm like, are you kidding me? I've done all these things for my knee, and I think I've been in that situation at training and got through, but it was just a little 1 second one. So the thought was there, I'm like, you're kidding me, aren't you? But then I got back up and I went for one little jog. I'm like, oh, it was just a little sting. We're fine.
It's a great story. So rehab, as we've spoken about, it's a lonely place. Like it really is. Unless you've got someone who's alongside you going through the same thing, you can feel like you're, as you say, alienated from the group. When you're supposed to be the leader, how can you lead if you're not within the group? So talk us through those periods.
I've seen people struggle in rehab, especially long-term rehab. I've seen people, that almost be the end of them of a footballer. They struggle to get through. I've always had this weird mindset in rehab that I would be doing this if I wasn't a footballer. I'd be going to fitness first at 6 a.m, whacking away on a treadmill, doing some weights. That's probably what I'd be doing. I love fitness. I'm lucky enough to get paid and do this at the middle of the day in the best facility going around. Yeah, it's tough that all my mates are over there handballing a ball while I'm over here on a cross trainer. But I'd be doing that cross trainer no matter what. Then probably going to be a chippy for 9 hours, then doing weights in the Arvo. I'm lucky enough to get paid to come in here and do it with the best facilities. That's every time I struggled, I'm like, nah, I'd be going for a 2-hour bike ride anyway. So the fact I get to do it here on this beautiful piece of equipment that they've got, this is pretty cool. The other thing that got me through was I like to think that I went to Perth and Adelaide to help the team, but subconsciously I went because I like to do my rehab away from the football club every now and then.
Tell me this as a leader. So I think this is one of the most important skills you can have, and that is the ability to observe what's going on. So when you're injured, you get that opportunity more so because you can sit and watch. Always used to get there first to training and just sit and watch blokes come in and be there last to watch them leave. Are you an observer? Are you able to read the group by just watching and say, hey, that guy's a bit down today, or he's not as exuberant as he has been? What's your attitude there?
I mean, you made this comment about Jim before. I think the biggest similarity that I have with Jim is that aspect. I saw it with Jim early. I love people. I'm a big people person, and I love observing people, and I also love how young people develop. Not necessarily how they kick a footy. That's Choco Williams. He's got that part down pat. He loves that part. I'm not that keen on if they get 95% of fish. I don't really care. I like how they go from an 18-year-old kid to a 21-year-old man while they're at our football club. Like, that's pretty cool. So I love that aspect of football. I hope I'm in that sort of part of society throughout my whole life. I'd love to be with people and see people grow, and I love the culture side of stuff. And that aspect I got for the 3 weeks where I was sitting back and watching. It's funny, football is all about momentum at the moment and who can grasp momentum the best. And it's cool watching how our guys act when the momentum is against. And you just want to go out there and tell them the answer, and then how people and how we go when we've got the momentum. And then I've done all this 3 weeks of note taking, and then I go out there against Richmond and I'm acting badly when we have momentum against us, and then I'm acting as my best self when we have momentum for us. So it's an interesting thing. I'm not a psychologist by any way, shape or form, but it is a cool aspect.
Last one. You spoke about goal setting, and that's it. You need a reason to climb, and the reason was the premiership. So you're chasing, and everything you do, I'd imagine is, and then all of a sudden you got it, and then you got to reset, right? So what's the goal? How have you reset that?
This one, I like my goal here. I reached a goal that I never thought I was going to get. To be honest, it was getting further and further away as I got into my career. Until these last couple of years, it's been quite a fun ride. The thing you learn in football as you get older is you think it's between, like, kicks, marks, that's what it's all about, wins, the first 10 minutes in the change rooms. They're fun, they are great. But why I play football is the smile it brings to my parents' face. Like, the phone call I have with my dad post-game is absolutely hilarious. We could lose by 70 and I've had the worst game ever. My ruckman's been away from me. Jeez, it wasn't your fault though. They didn't kick it to you the right way. It's a great phone call. He hasn't missed a game since I've been playing under nines. My wife, she's been there for genuine highs and lows. And then I reached this pinnacle, this absolute high. And the way the world was, unfortunately, I was on the other side of the country and they weren't there. So they've been there for all these lows. And then the day where I hit my pinnacle of my AFL career, I'm on Skype, FaceTime with my wife. My mum and dad aren't there. They don't get to share that experience. That would bring ultimate satisfaction to me if I'm able to bring my family and friends along with the ride that I was able to have for that month over in Perth.
Having been there and been lucky to be there, that I share that goal, and I hope it happens for you. And thanks. I think the footy club's in pretty good hands.
Thank you, Jeff.
Well, you can tell why Max Gawn is leading the Melbourne Demons. He's mentally at the top of his game, which is crucial for this football club. It's conquering the noise above the shoulders that leads to success both for the football club as well as in the trading game. For Melbourne's official trading partner, IG, this is the Melbourne Mindset.